Welcome to the Spy Collection. This is Anastasios, and today we look at another document of the allegedly leaked US intelligence community documents from early April 2023. As always, it's important to note that we cannot assess the authenticity or accuracy of its contents. We are sharing it as an educational material with the potential to have historical value in case it turns out to be real, untampered espionage material. In this episode, we'll cover this document originating from the United States Defense Intelligence Agency, the DIA. As always, we have reconstructed it in widescreen format so that it's easier to navigate. The background map used in the original document is sourced from some classified GeoInt system of the US intelligence community that we do not have access to, so we used a USGS open source map in our slide. To ensure we got the position and dimensions right, we overlaid the scale from the original photo to match the USGS map we imported. This was an intelligence product classified as secret with a no-phone marking to ensure it won't be shared with non-US entities. We will quickly understand why the US intel community might not want anyone to know that is assessing this, even their closest partner, the United Kingdom. On the top right, we see its I code that is telling us that the DIA analysts that produced this stopped ingesting new information at 5:15 EST on February 28, 2023. Note, I code is not when this product was finalized, reviewed, and disseminated. It's when the analysts stopped getting new information and started putting this together. This is crucial when dealing with rapidly evolving situations, since it gives the recipient a clear idea of what was and wasn't assessed. Underneath it, it's the DIA serial number, its PCN, that is used to track each finished intelligence product in DIA's database. On its top left, we have the insignia of the United States Joint Chief of Staff, the recipient of this product, and on the bottom, the DIA, the producer. The footer tells us that this was for the Second Directorate of the Joint Staff, which is known as the Office for Intelligence and Security. And on the bottom right, we read who classified this, the Director of Intelligence of J2, that it contains intelligence derived from multiple sources, and that it can be assessed for declassification after 75 years. The 50X1 HAM is a special marking which allows sensitive documents to remain classified up to 75 years, since if leaked, like in this case, they could put people or clandestine human sources in spy lingo at risk. Its title was United Kingdom and People's Republic of China Competing UK Visions to Counter PRC Policy in Indo-Pacific. The summary was: in early February, UK's Defence Minister Wallace tasked the Ministry of Defence to explore the option to forward deploy one of the UK's two Royal Navy aircraft carriers to the Indo-Pacific after 2025. However, the main opposition party has different security priorities. And this is the main comment we see on the map too. It says, Wallace's tasking calls for exploring the establishment of a jointly operated and forward-deployed carrier with Japan or the Republic of Korea, or seeking US permission to base a carrier in Japan with a US 7th Fleet. The Royal Navy currently has an access agreement at the British Defence Singapore Support Unit, BDSSU. Moving to the map, we have a legend indicating the current UK presence in the region and the possible forward deployments. The first is the BDSSU in Singapore, which was established in 1938 and is still operational to this day. The second one is the BFB, which exists since 1963 and is located in Tucker Lines, Syria, primarily for army troops. In terms of possible forward deployment positions, the DIA assessed that could be in South Korea and or Japan in the region of the United States Fleet Activities Yokosuka. The DIA analysts then utilized a classic structure analytic technique, a matrix, to map out the two British policies and their Chinese response to them. For the Conservative Party, we read, Wallace asserts a persistent Indo-Pacific presence brings more value than episodic carrier visits, perceives an enduring UK naval presence as the long-term solution over sporadic deployments in the area of operations. And the Chinese response to that is assessed as the PRC perceives the current UK government as anti-China, but has limited criticism as it conducts a charm offensive. Beijing has reacted more harshly to regional military deals and deployments, including the 2021 HMS Queen Elizabeth Carrier Strike Group deployment and the AUKUS agreement. Considering what we just read here, and that this document includes information from clandestine human sources, we can speculate that the DIA had some insiders in the Chinese military that were providing those insights since, as the assessment states, publicly there is no aggressive reaction. Next, we have the Labour Party's policy, saying, Shadow Minister of Defence Healey laid out Labour's defence policy, which prioritizes European defence at the expense of an increased Indo-Pacific presence. Agreed the PRC is a systemic challenge, but argued against relying on deployment as the primary response due to resource constraints. And in this policy, the Chinese response was assessed as the PRC has not reacted to the Labour policy, but state media historically has written more favorable articles about Labour than conservative leaders. This is already a very unique and insightful military intelligence product, but the DIA analysts also had to provide their expert view on the subject. Basically, this is what they knew, the situation in the region from both sides, and here is the DIA's assessment. Wallace's exploratory directive signals the current administration remains committed to the Indo-Pacific tilt. However, defense budget constraints, logistic hurdles, and manpower shortages likely would preclude forward-basing options until at least 2025. Beijing likely would view a permanent CSG deployment as a failure of its UK policy, while viewing a Labour-led pullback as a success. What you need to remember is that what we see here is the outcome of a lengthy espionage process. Someone in the J2 likely asked the DIA for this analysis. They had to engage with the collectors to gather those insights, and we already explained why this also included probably human sources, and then put all of that together in this report. And we can have an even clearer idea on how they did it due to this unclassified annotation. This is a product of two DIA's integrated intelligence centers, the China Mission Group and the Europe-Eurasia Regional Center. This practically shows us how the strategy that the DIA published in 2022 works in practice. This is a slide from DIA's official 2022 strategy talking about those integrated intel centers. In summary, the DIA adopted the model of the CIA by creating some mission-focused centers that take complete end-to-end ownership of specific areas of operations, rather than the more centralized operational model that they had prior to that, where all intelligence was flowing through centralized teams. So for this report, the CMG and EERC coordinated their work with the intelligence units from the US-EU Command and the US Indo-Pacific Command based on the requirements they received from J2 and came up with this finished intelligence product. Back to our earlier statement, now you probably also realize why the US wouldn't want the UK to know that they are looking into those scenarios and their potential impact to the region. In conclusion, we hope that this also gave you a better understanding on how the intelligence cycle works in practice, the role of clandestine human sources, intelligence analysis, and some of the tradecraft behind all of that. Even between the closest allies, there are espionage activities both to uncover their intentions, but also to assess their own best course of action. And it's another reason why nothing is as it seems.